Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Claudia Monticelli, the host of this podcast, Let's Talk Soul. Over the years, after having interviewed so many people on so many different topics, I realized that what interested my audience wasn't really the individual topics per se, but was how it impacted them, how it touched their soul. So I'll invite you all to lay back, put your feet up, and if you like what you hear, leave a review, 5-star review. I'd appreciate that. So just enjoy your listening. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's me again, and this week I have a guest speaking to us from Baltimore, Maryland, Swami Nityananda. Say hello to our audience, Swami.
It's wonderful to be with you. I'm very excited and grateful to talk.
Good. That means she will talk. No holds barred. Let's see. Let me introduce her to you. She has a lot of things going on. Primarily, Swami has dedicated her life and career to helping humans live in joy and freedom. Now, this is a mouthful, because we generally have the idea of what joy is. Bliss, joy, happiness, but it's always so abstract. She has spoken to audiences in 10 countries and has been a featured speaker on NPR and Radio Ireland, among other platforms and podcasts, of course. And her work has been supported by Fulbright grants, which are very prestigious grants. I used to manage the Fulbright grants here in Italy for a certain age group. Well, not necessarily was the age group, certain specific areas of interest, let's say. And she's received other National Endowment for the Humanities and the Andrew W. Mellon Foundation, and has received other national and international awards. Hats off to you. She was consecrated as a Swami by Swami Shankarananda in 2014. She's the spiritual teacher and spiritual leader at Awake Yoga Meditation, a meditation community located physically in Baltimore, where she currently lives, that reaches listeners in many geographical areas. Now, her meditations help audiences feel calm and exuberant and help them live their fullest lives, strengthening self-awareness, their relationships, abundance, and well-being on practically all levels. She teaches nondual awareness and the yogic tradition in ways accessible to contemporary audiences. And she has a book. Her latest book is Awake, the Yoga of Pure Awareness. And I will include her website here. What is non-dual awareness? Let's start off with that.
Sure. So the premise is that every human is always connected to awareness that is larger than the physical. It includes our physical awareness, but it is larger than that. And so for each of us, I'm inviting listeners to identify what our natural points of connection, our natural entry points are into this vaster awareness. So for example, one of my earliest awarenesses as a human was that my body and the natural world are very connected. So I was just aware from earliest memory.
What does that feel like?
Exactly. That's what I'm inviting everyone to feel, that there's a non-boundedness, that there is an effortless awareness of the way that we are always connected and supported by life itself. So our existence in a physical human form does not happen without this connectedness. And so there's effortless joy, there's peace, there's gladness, there's laughter. If you've ever seen a child playing in a park in a completely unself-conscious way, it's that sort of play and that sort of delight and just the sheer wonder and awe of being in a human body, picking up a leaf and noticing that the lines on the leaf and the lines on a human hand actually have a sort of correlation,
Mm-hmm.
that the lines of life that flow through us and the lines of life that flow through the leaf on the tree are
Oh,
very
okay.
deeply connected, and feeling that awareness continually, just
Yeah.
always, from
So,
moment to moment.
true to the devil's advocate that I am, I will interject here and say, now, come on, come on. One of your topics is how to live in joy and freedom in daily life. Now, that how is a big how. I've had a lot of people on this show, and people just say, you just need to feel it. No one really has given me, and I can to this day, maybe I'm forgetting. Let's say I'm forgetting, I'm forgetful. But true moments of, let's say, a toolbox of how to go about it. Can you do that for us?
Can sure give you entry points. And so
Okay.
what I was giving was an example of that's a natural awareness for me.
Mm-hmm.
But for listeners, I'm inviting you to connect with your own natural awareness. So for some people, there's an exuberance that comes when they're singing.
Mm-hmm.
And there's just like the air flows through them, the song flows through them. There's a boundlessness. For some people, I've heard people talk about playing basketball. And when they're so in the flow of the game, they don't even know what the score is. And that's when they're playing their best. Or I've heard some people talk about breastfeeding their
Mm-hmm.
children, and there's just this flow of life that is through you. I've also heard people talk about, for them, those moments of awareness are even if they're sitting at the bedside of a loved one who's about to leave the physical,
Mm-hmm.
there's just this connectedness. And so for every listener, it's going to be unique. For some people, they know math and their brain is just sort of like alive to the language of math, and that's their
Yeah.
natural awareness. And so to live with that connectedness, and then from moment to moment to stay in that stream of awareness. And the really good news is it is possible. So
Mm-hmm.
the yogis have taught this and developed this for millennia. It is possible to establish a moment to moment connectedness and awareness.
Okay. Let's say this is a first step. Okay. This is a first, you said entry point, I think you said. Uh, let's put it this way: of the things that you said, the basketball and the rest, it seems to be a good number of these things have to do with passion. And the word passion then leads me on to sexuality and sensuality and the link between complete joy and the sexual act, as if there, it's sort of a double-edged sword here, because you talk about always being in the moment, but then when we talk of bliss or joy, at times there's a moment when the soul feels disconnected because they're not anchored on to anything that they knew before, prior to that. And it's momentary. I'm just, relaying experiences that have been told to myself. But contrary to what I'm saying, you're leaning on the yogis that you have um, learned with or worked with. And so it's quite different. And so, I feel like there's a link that's missing here.
Okay, so one of the things that I think might help you and listeners with that link is what yogis say is it is possible to live in bliss always. And so what that means is bliss cannot be confined to a bodily sensation. Bliss
Okay.
cannot be a feeling. Bliss cannot be a thought.
Mm-hmm.
Bliss cannot be what humans would call an experience.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, bliss is the radiance of our being. Bliss is that which knows through the body, that which feels through the heart, that which sees through the eyes, but it is with us always. And
So,
it is actually possible in human form with a human
mhm.
heart and a human mind to live in continual uninterrupted connectedness with what yogis call bliss. But it might be different from what humans would refer to as bliss because it can't be limited or confined to a sensation.
So, what I'm getting from this is that it is on a par uh, with the construct of spirituality itself.
So, what yogis say is that this is the ground that spirituality arises from.
Hmm.
That this non-limited, boundless,
Yeah.
unconditional love, this limitless light pours into time and space,
Hmm.
takes the form of all of this, and then would
Yeah.
get named as spirituality by
Uh-huh.
humans.
I see. Um, Now, with the bliss joy, there's the notion of light, and they seem to be interchangeable, synonymous. They seem to be one and the same from your description. Am I understanding that correctly?
So radiance pours forth and takes the form of all of this, but it's radiance that is not only light that is visible with human eyes, it is the light of being, the light of
Hmm.
knowingness, the light of awareness.
Hmm. Um, okay, let me put a pin in that and move on. All right. When this discussion here is similar or can be linked to the notion of how to transform pain and limitation into insight and wise caring. Now, this wise caring, is there an unwise caring? What is that unwise caring all about? Does it have to do with boundaries? I'll give you the
So I
floor.
think from a yogic perspective, unwise caring would be caring that we're based upon attachment and caring that we're conditional. So I will be kind to you and then I expect a particular return. So that would be like conditional kindness. And
Hmm.
then attachment would be that you're motivated by fear
Hmm.
rather than by love and by this just generous, spontaneous sharing.
Hmm. Okay. Um, but how can we transform form pain?
So, from a human perspective, pain is something that humans encounter. So, in the realm of time and space, in a
That's
human
what
body with
being human means. Is that what you're saying?
being human means you will encounter the pairs of
Okay.
opposites,
Hmm.
which include pain and pleasure.
Hmm.
And as you connect with your larger than physical awareness, you're able to navigate with lightness and with joy,
Hmm.
even the pairs of opposites. And so you can be centered and calm and focused and balanced, even if you are aware of a feeling of pain as well.
Hmm. Okay. Um, Let me go down to your publications. You said your latest book is Awake, the Yoga of Pure Awareness. Have you written books prior to this?
Yes, I have.
Okay. Can you give us
So
talk about them?
Yeah, sure. So under the name Juniper Ellis, which is the name on my driver's license,
Yes.
I published a book called Tattooing the World, which was published
Um,
by Columbia
okay,
University
so
Press.
it's Juniper
Juniper.
Ellis,
Yes. Yeah.
and Tattooing the World.
Yes.
Okay. And what is that about?
It tells the story of the way tattoo traveled from Oceania
Hmm.
and traveled into the rest of the world, and the way tattoo helps create meaning and belonging for the people who bear the patterns. In traditional cultures in Oceania, where the practice came from, the designs have deep spiritual meaning and connect one to the ancestors and to the land and to the sea and to the
Hmm.
cosmos.
Memes of semiotics. I'm thinking of Umberto Eco here with that. Then that was your first book.
Yes, yes.
Okay, when was that published?
2008.
Okay, then what happened?
Well, in 2010, I met my teacher, my meditation
Mhm.
teacher, Swami Shankarananda. And Swami Shankarananda was the radiant founder of our meditation community, Awake Yoga Meditation,
Mhm.
which is located in Baltimore, Maryland. And that was a major catalyst,
Mhm.
meeting just a radiant being of light. There's nothing quite like it.
Mhm. And how did this encounter come about? Did you know people who worked with the yogi?
I did not actually. So prior to that, I can't remember how many years prior to that, but maybe let's say 8 years prior to that, I had been practicing yoga and practicing meditation. So the two came almost simultaneously for
Uh-huh.
me. As soon as I started practicing yoga, meditation followed.
Yeah.
And I wanted to deepen my meditation practice. And so I went online and found that my teacher was just a few minutes away from me, which
Mm-hmm.
was an amazing gift.
Mm-hmm.
And so he taught a method of meditation called Kriya Yoga. And
Kriya yoga.
so,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so I was able to receive that gift of receiving that meditation
And
practice from him.
what is the particular characteristic of or characteristics of Kriya yoga?
So it's a meditation
Mm-hmm.
and it comes from India and it works with the breath and it allows you to move breath up and down the spine.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a very self-transforming, self-healing practice. It's also very accessible, integratable into daily life.
Mm-hmm.
So the traditional practice is 20 minutes in the morning and 20 minutes at night.
Okay. Um, After that book, did you publish something else prior to Awake?
I've kept a steady stream of articles
Uh-huh.
as a professor. I publish regularly,
Mm-hmm.
and Awake was the next book that I
A
published.
professor of?
English
Okay, where?
at Loyola University.
Yola. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay. And then the latest book was published when? This Awake?
December of 2022.
Oh, okay. So that's recent. So you have something hidden away, notes or an outline that might pop up soon? Do you have
Oh, you're
something?
looking for another book?
Yeah,
Well, so
I
I've
imagine.
been editing. Well, so I serve as an editor
Mhm.
as well, and so I've been editing a 560-page book of my teacher's teachings. So that
Mhm.
should be out later.
Mhm.
And as an editor, I have published other books by my teacher
An
as well.
editor for whom? An editor as a freelance editor, you mean, or
So
working for a? Mhm.
the meditation community, for example, published a book. I think this was in November of 2021
Mhm.
by Swami Shankarananda, my teacher. And the title of it is Divine Protection, the Yoga of Psalm 91. And so I
Oh,
served as editor for that book.
okay. Okay. Now I'm trying to think of um, you because you say, as I introduced you, you help people find to live in joy and freedom. And when you say you help them, what do you do? Do you have clients that come to you in your website? Is there a space for people to knock on your door, the contact page? Do you have services that you list? How does that work?
Well, so I think the primary entry point is that every Sunday at 11
Hmm.
Eastern Time, we have a meditation. It's open to everyone. It's free. It's public. And so you can join in person, but you also can join on Zoom. You can join
Hmm.
on YouTube. So we open with a meditation and then we share the teachings of yoga philosophy and the teachings of non-dual awareness. And so that would be a very accessible entry point. We also share teachings on YouTube, on Instagram, on TikTok, on
And where
Facebook.
can people find that
So
information?
our website is awakeyogameditation.org,
Uh-huh.
and you'll find information there.
There.
I
Hmm.
mentioned one of the books by my teacher that I've edited and we've published, but there are others as well. And you'll find information about e-courses if you're interested in that.
Hmm.
There are writings. There's a podcast if you're interested as
Hmm.
well.
What's
And
the
you
name
also
of the
can
podcast?
always Awake Yoga Meditation
Hmm.
podcast.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you
And
host it, or is someone else the host?
so actually at the community, it is a meditation community.
Uh-huh.
And so all of this is produced by, we call
The
ourselves karma
community.
yogis. And so
Uh-huh.
like I'm a karma yogi, which means that we just dedicate our time and joy to sharing the teachings, to sharing the light, which has inspired us. It's an amazing joy to share it with others as well. And so there's a community member, there's a couple who edit the podcast, and the
Mm-hmm.
podcast are talks shared by me.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, thank you so much for all of this information. People will be able to find it's very, very clear. I'll write down all of your social media links and everything. Thanks again. And thanks for all of the work that you do, because it is so, so important for people to move toward joy. People just don't feel like they deserve it. Usually, that's what I find. Mm.
Much joy and much respect and gratitude to you.
Bye bye. Bye bye, Swami.